Welcome to a brief presentation on creating new rules within the Halcyon Audit Journal Monitor. A rule defines what we want to look for within the System Audit Journal and how we want to react when an important security event is found. From the Audit Journal Monitor menu, I take option 5, Work with Rules. Rules are defined within groups. To see what groups there are on this system, I take function key 11 to expand, and I'll see there are two groups currently defined. I'm going to add my new rule to the PCI group, so I move my cursor down to that group, press F11 to see what other rules are already defined there, and I'm now going to put a 1 against the PCI group to insert my new rule. As we can see, the system has automatically allocated a rule number for this rule, so I'll go down and add a description. I now need to define which of the many IBM journal entry types I need to be looking for within this rule. If I don't know them automatically, I can press F4 to prompt, and I'll see the list of available journal entry types. Just happens that on this first screen, the last one listed is the one I'm looking for. I move the cursor down, press 1 to select and enter, and it returns that to the previous screen. Other details I can change on this system include defining what day of the week and what times of the day that I would like this rule to be active. I'm not going to make any changes to those fields at the moment. I'll press page down to move to the next screen. This screen shows the select and omit criteria for this rule and also the actions to be performed. To refine my select criteria, I put a 2 against the select line and press enter. A rule can select records from the audit journal either based upon a very specific criteria or very general. Initially, very general criteria is defined, so I'm just going to go down to the fields at the bottom of the screen and specify that the only change of profile I'm interested in looking for with this rule is a change to the status. I press enter to validate and then enter to update, and I'm returned back to the previous screen. We see on the right hand side that the criteria now shows that I have changed most of the flags to no. Moving the cursor down to the Actions section of the screen, below the blue line, I press F6 to add. My first action will be to send an alert to the console whenever this is found within the audit journal. I'm going to use the simple green screen console, so I will leave the system name as star local. However, I could also use one of the enterprise console GUIs that allows you to see a dashboard view of your alerts. Press enter. Multiple actions can be defined against rules, so I'm going to move my cursor down to the bottom half of the screen again, press F6, and this time I'm going to prompt on the action type just to review the available actions. As we can see, I can perform things such as a command, I can send messages to console, I can close alerts, hold job queues, paging down, and we see a number of other options as well. The one I'm going to choose here is a send text message. I'm going to put a 1 against there to select, press enter, and now it's asking me to define where I want to send my message to. By taking F4 to prompt, I'll see that one of the options is sending to my email address. I'm going to select that, it returns back to the screen. The rest of the parameters I can leave at the moment, but if I wanted to, for example, I can change the text within the email that's sent to me using many substitution variables. But for the moment, I'll press enter and return back to the screen. So I've defined my selection criteria. I could add other selection criteria, I could add omit criteria as well, but I'll leave this simple at the moment. And I've defined my two actions. I now press enter and the rule is added. To confirm that this rule was successfully added to the system, I take F12 back to the menu and I'm going to make a couple of changes to a profile on this system. The first change I'm going to make is to change the status of the profile to disabled. The second change will be changing the password, and then I will change the status back to enabled. And return back to the menu. From the Audit Journal Monitor menu, I take F12 to return back to the main Halcyon menu. I can now look at the Halcyon message console, which is option 10 on the screen, and this will show me any current messages that have been sent to the console. As we see, there are a number of messages there, but the critical ones I'm looking at are the last two on the screen. We see that there's a record for the two change profiles that were related to status. The middle one of the two, which was relating to a password change, was not alerted. Looking at the detail, I can see that there's a whole set of information telling me where the message came from, what generated the alert, what rule was used. Two of the most important fields on this screen are the rule. The rule shows that rule number 130 was the one that processed the audit journal record into this alert. The second one is at the bottom of the screen. It shows that the new status for this profile change is disabled. So we actually have the detail of the change that was made to the profile. Returning back to the Halcyon menu, I'm going to go back into the Audit Journal Monitor menu and look at the rules again. This time, on entering this program, I'm going to take function key 23, which actually expands all groups and all rules within those groups. I want to pick out my PCI rule that I created, rule number 130, and just put a 5 against there to change the display, to display the record. One of the important things on here is that the value you chose for the journal entry type, for example here the CP journal entry type, will dictate the criteria you can use when selecting the record later on. Different screens will appear for the various types of journal entry type. Another important field on this screen, the journal entry occurrence, allows you to specify that you only react to maybe the second or the third event within a time period rather than having to react to the very first one. Paging down, I see the other two elements of my rule, the selection criteria and the actions. As mentioned before, multiple selection criteria can be added, and also omit criteria if you want to exclude certain types of profile or profile changes, for example, performed by a particular program. In the bottom half of the screen, under the blue line, we can also see on the right hand side there is a delay parameter. This can be used if you wanted to delay the send of the email until maybe 10 minutes after the first console message has gone out. That means that if someone sees the message on the console and closes it, then the email will not have to be sent. I hope this presentation has given you an introduction to the simplicity of adding a rule to the Audit Journal Monitor. However, if you have any questions, please contact us at technicalservices@halcyonsoftware.com and we'll answer your questions. Thank you.